going through every single question that you need in order to build your company profile, such as, do you have employees? What kind of tracking system are you going to be using? Are you going to be selling a product? And if you are, you're going to have inventory. So this is just setting up the basic necessities of your company profile. Now you have two options. Okay, so we have the Express Start, which this is more for more advanced users of QuickBooks, like people who actually know what they're doing. Then they would definitely use the Express Start, because there, all you do is build up, type in your company name, have an address, and everything else you're going to set up manually. Where if you do the detailed startup or detailed setup, it's going to ask you a series of questions, and what it does is it helps build a generic company file for you. And then in chapter 7, that's when we're going to take into more depth of how you can customize your company profile after you've already created your company file. So in here, I'm in the book on page 345. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and scroll through the book. So these are going to be everything that you need to know as far as building up your company profile. And we're going to go through it step-by-step basis, okay? So, again, before anything, there is a little chart in here that I want you guys to definitely have before setting up a company profile. And it's going to be on page 346. Now, this is the 12 steps of setting up your company profile checklist. So you need to have a start date. You need to have you need to set up your chart of accounts. You need to have any opening balances in your company, such as your bank, or anything that maybe you have an accounts receivable, accounts payable, anything that has an opening balance. All right, you need to make sure that you have all those. If you have employees there. Now, of course, you can use QuickBooks at any given time in your company. However, the very number one thing that we recommend, as well as anything, is to start on the first date of a brand new period. Meaning, so every year, or whatever, however you want to determine it, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, however oftentimes you want to close out your books or start a new month of tracking your revenues and your expenses, that is generally where we will want you to start. Now here, I'm going to show you how to start a company from scratch. So without even having like an actual start date. So this one is going to be very important. Now, as you go down the steps, making adjustments to anything that if you have prior stuff. Lastly is choosing a closing date. So choosing when to close your books out every time. So whether if you do monthly sales, then that's when you want to do it at the end of the month. All right. So these 12 steps are very, very important to have. Now, there's also a small portion that a lot of people don't know is when you're starting to build your own company. Obviously, you need to have as much detail as you can to build your company, especially if we're going to be using the easy step or the detailed setup. Is you need to know your basics, like what are you a retail store, or are you a service store? you know, because that's going to actually help you and save a lot more time if you can build a generic QuickBooks company file. So again, I'm telling you all these things, but I'm going to actually show you once we actually get into there. So again, there are two options when creating a company file. Okay, so again, when we open our QuickBooks, this is the first thing that we should see. And instead of doing a pre-made file for us, we're going to go ahead and click company, create a new company. So then here you're going to get this little window. You have, here are the two options. In your book, it's going to look different from mine because I have the 2019 version. In the book, it's going to give you the option to either do a express startup. In this profile, it's just start. And then at the bottom, there's a detailed setup. So you're going to have two options. For me, I have to toggle it down here if I want to have advanced setups. So for you guys, it is express for start, and for the interview, I'm going to go down here and it says advanced setup. So my advanced setup to you in your book is going to be detailed setup. Okay? So make sure that you guys recognize the difference, that you guys are going to be focusing on express and detailed. I'm going to be working with just regular start and advanced setup. So again, when we do just the regular setup, all you're doing is you're creating your company name and you're going to manually enter in everything that you have for your company from scratch. As in, everything is empty. There's nothing that you need. You have to create your accounts on your own, and you have to create everything, create all the profiles and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and utilize the advanced setup to go ahead and have a preset company profile or a generic profile, so then I can easily change the preferences later on when I get used to using this. So for new users that never used QuickBooks or trying to start up a new company, your best friend will be your detailed setup. All right, so here when I press the express setup, the first thing it's going to come up is another form. So just like how any application is for any business that you do, you're going to fill in all the basic information here. So in the book, it should be page, let me see where all the details are. Okay, so I think it is this one, but it's super tiny on my side. But yes, this is basically when we're following this, we're going to be following all the information here on this book and on this page here. So, Tina, do you have your book with you?
Yes.
Would you be kind enough to help me go answer all these questions?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So, number one thing is you need your company name. So, your company name can be anything that you want to name the file. So, if I want to say Lynn's Company, I can say Lynn's Company because the company name is just basically what are you going to title this file. It doesn't have to be your specific company name, but I'm just going to say I'm going to go ahead and just make it easy and just keep it as the company name. So I think it's Academy Photography.
Yes.
All right. And then, so I'm going to name it Academy Photography because I don't know what else to name it. when you move on to the legal name, this is the one that's going to be found on your form for your business that you actually submitted to the state and county. All right. This is the one that has to be the actual company's real name. So I think this one is also Academy Photography Incorporated or LLC.
No, it's Inc. INC.
Hold on. Academy Photography. What was it?
INC.
INC Incorporated. All right, so it's incorporated. And I put photograph. All right, comma, INC. Okay, so someone just chimed in, so give me 1 second. Here is Sade. All right. All right.
Ethan,
Yes.
sorry to bug you. Is there any way you can get rid of everyone's names on your screen so your screen's a full screen? Or is that just the way I'm viewing it?
I'm sorry, can you re-ask that question?
Everybody's names, my view, everybody's names on your screen, so what you're looking at is kind of like a half screen. Is that
Oh.
viewing it or?
I think that's that. Yeah, that's like I think that's okay. If you're looking at it, it should fill up most of your screen, and then you have 3 people on the side, right?
No, it's got it's like I've got everybody on the side, plus I have your screen with everybody on it.
Okay, so you're gonna go to the bottom. You're gonna you just roll your mouse down, and then a white thing should pop up. It's gonna be the corner, what is it? Right corner.
I got it. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right. If you just want only my screen, you can spotlight me. So then when I'm talking, all you see is just my screen. You don't see anybody else's. Okay. All right, so we're going to go back. So here, okay, so here we're creating our company profile. So again, your company name could be anything that you want to name it. It could even be Bob's, Bob's business. So remember, this is just to name your company, the name that you want to name the actual file. But when we're moving into legal, it has to be whatever that you've submitted to the state / county for your business license. Okay, so this tax ID is very important that you have one because ultimately this is what you need to have your tax taken out. Now, is it a requirement? No. Reason being is if, let's say, you only use QuickBooks for your own personal business, like you're not actually utilizing certain things, then no, you don't need your tax ID. The tax ID is just asking you, so then if when you use QuickBooks to go to your accountant, what they're going to do is they're going to take your when you ask for the services to provide for you, it will automatically pull all the information you need to fill out your forms for your taxes. Or if you have employees, it will automatically deduct and take everything for you. Same thing when you do sales, it's going to automatically take it from that tax ID number. So in this one, is it 0? What is it, Tina? Is it 000?
It's 11 3, 4, 5, 6.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9. Okay. I can't remember how many numbers. I think it was 9. Yes. All right. Okay. Next is going to be the address. Okay. Yes, this is very important, but even if you have a PO box, that's fine too. So street address.
Pleasanton, Pleass.
What's the number?
Oh, sorry. 123 Main Street.
1, 2, 3. It's okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 Main Street. Okay, and it's Pleasanton. So Pleasanton.
Santon. N.
Okay, and then California. So here it's pretty straightforward. It's a form. Zip code is it 90?
94566.
Okay. All right. Do you guys have a phone number?
925 555 1111.
Okay. Most companies have fax numbers, but does this one have a fax number? I don't think it
Yeah.
does. Oh, it does. Go ahead. Sorry, Tina.
925 555 1112.
Oopsies. 1, 2. Okay, so most businesses have a fax machine just in case they need to transfer things via fax. Okay, and all right. So email. I forgot what his name is, but what's his email?
info@academyphoto.info.
.info. And then website is going to be Academy Photography.
Academyphoto.info.
.info. Okay. So for you guys to fill in as much details as possible. I'm so sorry. Do I have to kick you out? Okay, hold on. Can you give me 1 second? I'm gonna kick my dog out. I'm sorry about that. All right. Okay, so again, these are very basic informations to what you actually need the necessity to build your company. Now, if you are doing the Express Start, this is exactly what it's going to ask you. You just fill out only this page and that's it. Everything else you got to build by yourself. So in this case, I'm doing the detailed setup. So it's going to ask me a series of questions to set up my company profile. So I'm going to go ahead and click next, and now it's going to ask me this question. So that's going to ask me when do I want to, what kind of industry I belong into. So in this one, I think it was art, writing, and photography. So again, being really specific on what kind of industry you belong into. So again, there's a whole list of whatever your industry is. Now, of course, you're going to be filling all this information in when you actually build your business license. So it's pretty much everything that you're going to be asked of you for your business license. So here I am part of art, writing, and photography. Next. Okay. Now it's going to ask you what kind of business organization you are. In this one, I think, what am I, incorporated? So
S Corporated.
I'm an S Corp, okay? So, again, same thing with your business license. It's going to ask you, well, what kind of entity are you? Are you a sole proprietor? Do you only have one person? If you are a partnership, if so, then who are the partners? So again, if you just building your profile, it's a pretty straightforward application. Okay, it's similar to an application. So I recognize that I am a corporation. However, I want to recognize as an S corporation. Next. Now it's going to ask you, when do you want to have your fiscal year? Okay, so when we're understanding a fiscal year is basically, in other terms, when is it best for you to file your taxes? So every year, looking at a company, for example, a swimwear company, their main business is going to be in the summer. Okay, so that means they're going to be more dead towards the winter. So towards the winter is when they can prepare their books. So they're more likely to use a calendar year. Calendar meaning starting from January and you close your end of your books in December. Okay? But if you're a person that sells Christmas trees, for example, your main business is towards the winter, and that your main business is more likely to be less busy towards the summer. So you want to build around your profile where, okay, I'm gonna start my fiscal year. I'm gonna start on July and end in June the following year. So again, it's just based on how your company wants to be able to prepare, or when is it most busiest, and when is it more dead, and when is it the most part that you guys have enough time to file your taxes. So in this one, I believe it is fiscal, right?
Its fiscal year is January.
Okay, so they said it's January. Okay, so this is calendar year. So we want to set it up as January. Now, for most small businesses that don't really know what they're doing, or just want to just try to get their foot through the door and start your business, it is generally, they say, the easiest way to keep track of everything, just start with January. Because if you do calendar year, you know the first day of the period is going to be January 1st, and then the end of the period is going to be December 31st. Okay, so here we already selected that I want to start my fiscal year on January. All right, see if we're good on time. All right, so now it's going to ask you to set administer passwords, okay? Now, this is to lock QuickBooks and only set it so then you have access to it. Now, you can skip this part, and it is recommended to skip this part because while you're trying to pull out all your information so you can set up your company profile, there's along the way you might lose this and you might forget it, XYZ. So again, what you can do is you can skip this portion, and you can add an administrative password later on when we actually customize our actual profile. So here again, I think I'm going to forget it. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip this part. All right. So now the next section is going to ask you to, when you're creating your company profile, okay, your QuickBooks information is stored. Great. Now I'm going to click the next button. All right, now it's going to ask me where do I want to actually create this file and where do I want to store it. So again, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. So here it's what was that? AM QuickBooks class. June 1st, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and put it here. Again, so remember when we said when you created your company name, it already automatically filled it in for me right here. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and save. And then you could go ahead and click next. And now it's creating the workbook for you right now. So this is where you're going to actually start prepping for the rest of the actual interview questions. Understanding, are you gonna have sales, right? So from here, I'm gonna wait till my profile is completely done creating, and I'm gonna go ahead and call a break here, just so then you guys, because the next half is going to take a little longer than usual. All right. So go ahead and take a quick break from, right now it is I'm going to call it 9:20, so 15:35. Please be back by 9:35 and take a quick 15-minute break.